just a thought, just a thought. It's my opinion, it's just a thought, just a thought. Get out your feelings.
Go on, Keyshia.
You just gonna let her kick me out like this?
You don't rely on nobody to pay your bills. Get your own money.
You the only real mama I got.
Between the men and the drugs, you can't keep doing this forever.
What's going on, family? It's your girl, Sharí Nycole. Welcome to another episode of Just a Thought with Sharí Nycole. We have been moving and grooving this month and in recent months. And my goal, everybody, for those who don't know, is to get us to 100 episodes before I slow down a bit and go on a little bit of a hiatus. So we are probably about, 10, 11, maybe 12 episodes away from that marker. But I'm so excited that you guys have been rocking with me. Thank you again to every single person who's been supporting the podcast, whether that's on YouTube, whether that's on our other digital streaming platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher. It is not lost on me. Thank you for also sharing the content on your social media platforms and so much more, and spreading the word. I appreciate you guys. And you all just don't know how much life you give me to continue to do this every single week. And with that said, I am so very excited. One of my favorite actresses is on the line today, the Zoom line. We're doing Zoom today. And she is part of the new Keyshia Cole, This Is My Story movie. It's premiering on Saturday, June the 24th on Lifetime at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's part of Lifetime's celebration of Black Music Month. I cheated. As you all know, I cheat a lot. And I saw it already. And her role and what she's accomplished on screen with this movie in particular is phenomenal. And again, she is in a big screen and a small screen staple. And I am just honored to have her here to chat with me today. So without further ado, Debbi's here right now. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, what's up? What's up? All good?
I am all good. I am honored. I am blessed to be able to chat with you. And, before we even got rocking and rolling, you were talking about this press run, a lot of things going on right now. Can you just speak to the excitement around this film right now?
Oh, gosh, I think so many people are just going to love seeing Keyshia Cole do this movie about her life. I mean, so many people were glued to the reality show, such as myself, seeing the show that Frankie did with Keyshia and then the one that she did with Neffy. Mm-hmm. And, I think perhaps for maybe people's own history, maybe with personal experiences with addiction or within their family. I know that was certainly one of the things that drew me to watching the show.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. I mean, I would imagine there's a level of selectivity, if that's a word, that you have when it comes to certain roles, especially consider the roles you've played. So knowing that you've been following this family story for quite some time, is there one thing in particular that kind of drew you in to play this particular role for this film?
Well, I've always responded more to the material in a role that is particularly challenging. And Frankie was indeed challenging. First of all, even though she lived a life of addiction, and we know addicts lie, they're often belligerent and put themselves in precarious situations to feed their habit and sustain that lifestyle. I walked a fine line in portraying the seedy part of her life with the necessity I felt, and also showing her, being able to show her humanity. That she wasn't just a crack addict, that she had feelings, that she wanted to love and be loved, that she had compassion. And it was very meaningful to me that we did have those scenes where Frankie could display her love and affection for Keyshia, and also, express the deep, real pain and sorrow for all of the trauma that she had inflicted upon Keyshia ever since she was a child and even as an adult. Unfortunately, the monkey on her back always seemed to have the stronger pull.
Yeah. And I want to stick with this for a moment, because I just think you just told this beautiful line often with several of your roles of being brilliant and broken on screen. And I don't think that's something that's an easy feat for anyone. How do you kind of feel your way through in that respect? Especially, I know you touched on it a little bit, but is there a place that you draw from personally, especially with this particular role?
Well, first of all, in doing research for playing this role, like I said, I'd watched all of the seasons of the reality show and felt that I had a good sense of who this woman was. And then again, as I'd mentioned earlier, I was able to draw from my own personal experiences because unfortunately there's been crack addiction in my own family. I had a family member that I had spoken to who had said, even though they've been in recovery for almost 10 years, even now, they sometimes have thoughts about what it would be like to have one more hit, though they know they'd probably never come back from that. I had yet another family member who just liked doing drugs and did not want to stop and did not stop and has since died. Frankie, gone to rehab more than once, wanted to stop, but she really never did it for herself. I mean, it was to please Keyshia, so that's why she never succeeded.
Yeah.
And I remember Keyshia shared with me, she said, Debbi, Frankie had said to me once, you need to stop wasting your money sending me to rehab because I like getting high.
Wow.
And I'm going to keep getting high, period, which was unfortunately a sentiment shared within my own family.
Let me ask you about love and forgiveness, because we see that play out so much in this film, and even what you're saying. Is there a bigger kind of broad message that you want audiences to walk away with when it in many of which may have a loved one who's going through the same situation when it comes to love and forgiveness? Because we see Keyshia kind of keep coming back, keep trying, keep being disappointed. That tug of war can be very painful. So what do you hope that people walk away with in that respect?
Well, in terms of love and forgiveness, I think, first of all, if you're mindful of the fact that this is a disease, like alcoholism, cancer, anything else. And if people don't want to do this for themselves and they're doing it for other people, it's just not going to happen. But, when it's somebody that you love and you see them taking this walk of life, I mean, all you want to do is to reach out and to try to help, let them know that there are people here who love you and support you. But even with all of that, if they're not ready, all of that love and support is not going to mean anything, but it doesn't mean that you stop.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you stop offering that. And so I would just say to anybody who's living under these circumstances, just keep trying. Don't stop, because maybe you might be one of the fortunate ones that can help turn that family member around, or yourself.
Yeah.
What
was it like for you, Debbi, working with Keyshia Cole? And also, is there one thing in particular that you learned about her or her family story that
she's a
really
tough
stuck
little
with you?
cookie, I know that. Very tough, very strong-minded. It was a journey and very challenging at times because Keyshia Cole was playing herself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just another actress. And she was still very raw from the recent passing of her mother just the year before. There were times, like if we were in a loud confrontational scene, I could see her staring at me like she was really there with her mother. Like I was really Frankie. I mean, she'd even said that to me. And that's why I felt it was so important that we were able to have those heartwarming scenes where Frankie could take her into her arms and let her know how much she'd always, loved her.
Yeah.
But I would say that Keyshia and I were very much in sync. I mean, we developed a close connection, which was so important because of the dynamic of that relationship with Frankie. And I think people are going to be very surprised by just how good she is in this movie, even though she was playing herself.
Yeah.
I told her I was quite impressed.
How do you gauge how well you portray a role? And I ask that because, I mean, for us, it's like, oh, she's so amazing. I mean, you spoke about, Keyshia being in this zone at times where it was like she was talking directly to her mom. I'm watching you on screen and I'm like, you're so Frankie. It almost was scary. How do you gauge at all? Like, man, I really snapped. I did that right there. Or is it kind of like, hey, the work is the work, the art is the art, and then you move to the next thing?
It's probably a combination of a lot of things. First of all, I'm my own worst critic. It's hard for me to even watch myself because I'll look at myself and like, gosh, why didn't I play that like that? Why not? But it's different when you're portraying a real life character rather than, a made up character. And like I said, watching Frankie, in all of the seasons of the reality show, I just knew that I wanted to be as authentic as possible in portraying that role, and yet make her more than what she was always seen as, just being, this drug addict.
Yeah.
I mean, because I would watch her sometimes in those reality shows, and again, because of what I was going through with my own family members, I mean, it just affected me so deeply to watch her going through this, and also knowing that there was a side of her that didn't want to stop doing what she was doing.
Yeah.
How that affected Keyshia. I mean, Keyshia, and we had some scenes in the movie like that where she was like, you want to keep doing this, don't you? I mean, you like this. And so, to answer your first question, and how do I gauge that? It was probably easier to gauge it because it was a woman that I had been following and had a lot of information about, rather than having to come up with my, build my own character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk Black Girl Magic a little bit. I mean, this film is directed by D'Angela Proctor, who I adore. I've known her for years.
I love her.
She's
I
amazing.
love
What was
her.
it like for you just working with her? And also, if you could speak to the importance of having our stories told by us, and having Black women not only showcased in front of the camera, but also behind it as well.
Well, first of all, it was such a pleasure working with D'Angela, and she gave me such freedom to kind of like, go with certain things maybe that weren't necessarily in the script.
Yeah.
And look, I take my hat off to our female directors and writers right now. I mean, it's all about the woman. It's all about the Black woman, and we are doing it. And I'm always so happy when I get a chance to do a project and it's being directed, by a female, by one of our sisters.
Yeah.
I just think it's been so long in the making. It's been so long in getting to this place. And now that we've arrived, I just think the fields are opening up more and more and more. And, I can remember when I was a little girl, and the first time I saw a commercial came on, it was a Black person on TV. And I was like, Mom, there's a Black person on TV. And so you follow that to where we are now and how Black women have trailblazed. It's such a wonderful feeling. Such a wonderful feeling.
Absolutely. Last question for you. First of all, thank you for being a trailblazer. And it's people like you that put those of us, that are a little bit behind you in position to do what we do. So thank you for that. And we got this film. If you all watch Power at all, Book of Ghosts, Miss Debbi Morgan's in there as well. Anything else we can expect from you? We are halfway through the year. Anything else we can expect from you moving forward?
I just did an incredible role, probably alongside Frankie, one of my favorite roles. It would be playing Frankie, Moselle and Eve's Bayou, and this character that I just played on BET Plus series called Sacrifice with Paula Patton. And my character's name is Lade Akande, and she's this billionaire Nigerian bitch, ruthless. And again, I've been very fortunate to play such an array of characters. And after playing Angie Hubbard for decades, I realized that unlike a lot of my cast members, I wasn't typecast in playing Angie, so that people only thought I could do that and only see me in that role. So I've gotten a chance to play so many different characters that are far cry from Angie Hubbard, Jesse's lifelong boo.
And we've been blessed to see them all. And we also get to see, once again, you play the late Frankie Lons and Keyshia Cole. This Is My Story. It premieres Saturday. Make sure you guys set your DVR or watch it in real time. Saturday, June 24th on Lifetime at 8 p.m. Eastern. Miss Debbi Morgan, I thank you. I honor you. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great speaking with you.
Just a thought, just a thought. It's my opinion.